Hello, my name is Scott Harder and I will be the instructor for the Tabor College History course. Looking forward to teaching this online course, and this is kind of the introduction. We will begin with chapters 7 and 8, and this will cover the Revolutionary War period and even the Declaration of Independence. We'll talk a little bit about John Adams and a lot of the events leading up to the founding of our country. My name again is Scott Harder, and please feel free to email me at any time or give me a phone call. I can be reached at 214-9686, or I can be emailed at sharder or at the Tabor address for Scott Harder. Thank you. As we begin this course, I want to take a look at several of these illustrations. Of course, these are artists' renditions of the early colonial period. This is Charge Up Bunker Hill by John Trumbull. And of course, we have the signing of the Declaration of Independence. As you take a look at this illustration, you can almost look closely and determine what is missing as opposed to what is there. And we see a lot of very wealthy white men. And I'd also like to point out to you that, let's see if I can fix this. This person right here is Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, I believe, and Thomas Jefferson. This person here is sitting in the chair. This is John Hancock, and he is the first president of the Continental Congress. And the draft that the paper that Thomas Jefferson is presenting to John Hancock is the Declaration of Independence. This would be an illustration of Washington's crossing of the Delaware. Again, you can look and see a little bit of propaganda there. I doubt whether George Washington was in such a pose, crossing an icy river. And again, this is a very famous painting of General Cornwallis's surrender at Yorktown. The British surrender to the Americans. The Americans were helped in this battle by the French. Alright, now as we begin, let's focus a little bit here on some of the very important early English documents. The Magna Carta in particular is one of the early documents. If you look, 1215, this is an early document, 1215. This is signed by the king in 1215. Remember that the United States is discovered by Columbus, or the Americas are discovered by Columbus in 1492. America does not become colonized and does not declare its independence until 1776. And so if America claims its independence in 1776, but the Magna Carta was written in 1215, we've got 500 years of trial by jury, due process, and no absolute power of the monarch. Think about the arbitrary taking of life, liberty, and property 500 years prior to 1776. Moving on. The Petition of Right is yet another one. 1628, but look at this, that no one should be compelled to be taxed without consent of Parliament. No taxation without representation. This is not something new. This is something that was 1628. And remember, we did not declare independence until 1776. More English documents. 1688. Look at this. Fair trial. No excessive bail. Cruel and unusual punishment. These are things that were way before the Declaration of Independence, in this case almost 100 years prior. So the point is, eventually the Constitution is not necessarily original thinking. These are things that were sacred to English citizens prior to the Declaration of Independence. The original 13 colonies, the original British 13 colonies, east coast of the United States, and we had three specific types of colonies. We had royal colonies, charter colonies, and proprietary colonies. So to look specifically at these three colonies, first we have the English colonies that were royal. These were subject to direct control of the crown. The governor of these colonies was appointed by the king. The governor appointed a council, and the council served as an upper house to a colonial legislator. So the royal colonies did not have a whole lot of autonomy. Much of their existence depended on approval from the king. The second type of colony we look at is the charter colonies. These were based on charters granted to the colonists themselves. They were largely self-governing, very key there, self-governing. Connecticut and Rhode Island, these laws that were made were in the bicameral legislatures and were not subject to the governor's veto, nor was the Crown's approval needed. Then we look at the proprietary colonies. So this would be, for instance, Baltimore and Maryland. These proprietors, like Lord Baltimore or William Penn, these colonies were organized by a proprietary, a person to whom the king had made a grant of land. So the proprietary acted almost as if a king or a governor was in America governing these colonies. Ultimate decisions then were taken to the king himself. So of these three types of colonies, we have proprietary, we have charter, and we also then have royal. Of these three types of colonies, the charter colonies were the most, what we would call, autonomous. The laws were not subject to a governor or the crown's approval. The other colonies could have things vetoed. So, charter colonies had the most autonomy. Those are the three types of British colonies.